This is Quantum Flow Radio, organizing thought particles into a flow of collective consciousness.
Hello, my friend. How are you today?
Splendid.
Splendid. I love that word.
Splendid or splendiferous?
Well, it depends on mood, I think.
I'm not sure if splendiferous is a word.
Yeah, it's a bit more colorful.
It is, but if it is a word, I'm that today.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
You
right.
know why?
Please tell me why.
Because it's our topic today.
Our topic today.
Yeah, it's
I was supposed to study that, wasn't I?
yeah. Well, that's okay. It's on the meaning of life, and if you didn't
simple subject.
Yeah, simple. If you didn't care to,
Yeah.
take any time to think about that, and maybe that's the problem. No one ever really thinks about the meaning of life.
Except for guys like you and me
Well,
who are obsessed by it.
Nerds that
Yeah.
have too much time on their hands. And,
Exactly.
We should really join like a poker club or something.
Right.
But no, we're sitting around trying to figure out, and we're doing this for the benefit not just of us, but we're trying to save the world here.
Yeah. Two guys at a time.
Two guys at a time,
Yep.
exactly. And meaning of life, wow. I mean, it's been pondered and pontificated and
Yep.
talked about for what I would think would be centuries.
Yes, millennia, easily.
I think that now is actually a good time to bring this up because the meaning of life might have changed a little bit. But yeah, and some people say, well, it's this or that.
Yeah.
But I really believe there is a root that's common, a connection that there really is possibly a nice meaning to all of this. Why are we doing it all?
Will you be sharing that with us?
Well, yeah, we can't do that at the beginning of the show because then people tune in and then tune.
Right, then
Oh,
they
I
leave.
got it, and then So we have to save. It's like the movie ending,
Got it.
Yeah, but know what? We have wonderful stuff until we get to that point.
Yeah.
Because we're going to go
Yeah,
through
we
lots
might
of
even have a part two.
Yeah, we. Well, it depends on how long our life is,
Exactly.
So. Well, we could just start off like what we usually do. We could start off with some definitions.
Sure.
These are kind of generic. I mean, start off with life is the quality that distinguishes a vital and functional being from a dead body. That's pretty clinical.
It is. It's medical and clinical.
Now, that's life's definition. That's not the meaning of life's definition,
Yes.
but we wanted to at least define what life is so we can tell you, living, dead.
Yep. On and off.
Who knows? But, there might be a meaning to all this even when we're not here.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's kind of short-sighted, possibly narrow-minded. Another definition, this is a little bit more drill down,
Yeah.
okay?
Mm-hmm.
The meaning of life, or the answer to the question, what is the meaning of life, pertains to the significance of living or existing in general. The search for life's meaning has produced many philosophical, scientific, and theoretical, and metaphysical speculation, through history.
Mm-hmm.
But why are we here? What is life about? What is the purpose of existence? These are the questions that come up to that. And that really wasn't a straight-out definition because I think it's really hard to define.
Yeah.
You have something, a gentleman, who was this?
I have I have some etymology work here that I found to be interesting. The Germanic predecessors gave us the word life with LIF being translated into English about 1,500 years ago, which basically boils down to body.
Boy, that's a lifetime ago.
It is, yeah. So it boils down to body. But before we look into like that, I got to go over this because I've always found it fascinating. If you go back to the original Greek word for life, okay, which we translate into English as zoe, okay, or zoe. In Greek, it's zoe, okay. In English, zoe. Now, this is also the root of the English words zoo, zoology, even zodiac. Okay, Zoe is used for the state of existing and being animate, which is, of course, common to all living things. So from early times, Zoe, a living soul, was adopted by the Hellenized Hebrews as a translation of ancient Hebrew names and words, translated into English as Eve. Okay, so now it's interesting. Greek, Zoe, Hebrew, Eve. Okay? So Eve, this might be a little too deep, but I think it's fascinating. Okay? So Eve, from the Hebrew, chawa, was derived from that meaning that means to breathe, okay? Or to live, right? So in the Bible, for example, in Genesis, it says that Eve is the mother of all living. Well, when you're looking at the creation story in Genesis, the statement makes perfect sense if you look at it from the actual meaning of the word rather than being associated with a literal person. So if Eve is the mother of all living, then life, which is what Eve means, is the mother of all living, okay? So then we can go back and forth on this stuff, and we will for the next few minutes, but I did want to run just Khalil Gibran was a poet that I really enjoy some of his stuff.
What century was it? This
would have been
20th or
no.
19th?
I'll have to double check. Yeah, a ways ago. Okay.
Yeah.
And he writes, this is very short. He says, "The obvious is that which is never seen until someone expresses it simply." So that when he is trying to define, what life might look like, it's basically in its simplest form is a great way of looking at it. All of us are animate. Even stones, rocks, things that we think are inanimate, under a microscope, you can see they have moving cells.
Yeah, I think I saw a rock move the other day.
Yeah. And it might have been at a concert. But also
I wasn't at that concert.
Okay, but also on that level,
Right.
that rock also has some level of consciousness.
Sure.
Because consciousness exists among all things. But going back to the subject of life and the meaning of life, one of the guys that you and I love, Alan Watts, I think basically his feelings on the subject were the meaning of life is simply to live, to enjoy every moment, to experience all that you can, and to bring back those experiences into the divine matrix of consciousness and expand that which we might call God, further growing everything.
Does life have meaning? Is there a purpose? And can we quantify that? Some say, life has no specific meaning. Some people say it has specific meaning. Some people think that we're here to serve. Possibly some say we're here to serve the Lord, and that in itself is the meaning. Perhaps each of us has a meaning that we bring to life.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the way we look at it. We could probably all agree that, this is a serious subject, but some people throughout history have tried to tackle it. Like the guys from Monty Python.
Yes.
Did you ever see that? Did you ever see this movie?
Yeah, The Meaning of Life.
Meaning of Life. So I watched it recently, and that's what kind of, prodded me to maybe bring the subject for discussion.
Yeah.
And I watched this movie, and the funny thing is that for the better part of the beginning of the movie has nothing to do with anything about the meaning of life.
Yeah.
Because they don't know.
Yeah.
But then at some point, about, part way through the movie, they bring some things out, and they really package it. It's quite simple, And I'm not gonna, we're not gonna ruin any lines from the movie or anything, but the movie was enlightening in that it's a very difficult question to answer, and we're gonna actually drill down with some different types of philosophers and different types of schools of philosophy on what the meaning of life is. And then we'll get into some laws of nature and everything else and how this interplays. There is something out there, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, there is meaning to all this.
Yeah,
it can't just be haphazard. I'd hate to think that there is no point.
There is a grand design, I believe.
Right.
Otherwise, it would have all just fallen apart a long time ago. So this grand design, keeping the boat afloat and on a projected path.
Right.
We are free to delineate from that path individually.
Right.
But it's still, the path is still there. There's a quote somewhere that someone once said that better is one's own path, though imperfect, than the path of another well-made. So if it's going really easy, it's because somebody else has been there.
Right.
So sometimes we have to cut off the trail and just go back in the bushes and look for ourselves.
And exactly, whether you go back to the bushes or that's just an expression.
Yeah.
What we're really trying to tell you is you're not going to find the meaning of life or its true purpose in where you're talking all the time or you're in turmoil. This is something that will come to you more than likely in a form of meditation where you're completely unplugged from everything.
Right.
Silence, an inner tranquilness, and just think. And it doesn't even matter what you think about. Now you're going to go, well, so I'm just going to sit down today and for 10 minutes and 15 minutes and just think and meditate and the point of life is going to pop into my head. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? It could. It
Sure
could be
could.
that quick. When you meditate or when you really start thinking about this stuff, there's better ways of doing it. There's no wrong way of doing it, but you'd be surprised what comes to mind. Now, don't think about your dog that needs the grooming or all the other stuff that
Sure.
all the idle chatter. You really do have to clean the palette of thoughts as best you can, and think no thoughts
Yes.
as best you can.
And if
then
you do, just don't judge them.
right.
If you're trying to, stop the monkey chatter and clear the mind, and you think of this, ship sailing off in the distance, just don't. When we see that, let's say you go to the beach, right? You're sitting on the beach and it's just nice and quiet and you hear the ocean and you get the breeze and you get the whole concept of being at the beach and you look out and you see this sailing vessel, okay, or a ship of sorts far out in the horizon. Generally, we don't say anything about that ship. We're just enjoying the moment.
Right.
So the ship just goes by.
Yeah.
We don't judge it. We don't say, "Oh, that's an ugly ship," or "That's that's a beautiful ship," or we just watch it pass the horizon.
Because ship happens.
Exactly, because ship happens, and sometimes it's
That might be your joke. I'm sorry.
no, but what I'm saying is, when we're in that situation, that's the same kind of situation we really need to be when we're meditating, when
But
we're trying to go within.
the ship is happening at that moment.
Right.
And it's a very peaceful moment. I always found complete solitude. I'm one and one with the beach.
Yeah.
There's something about it. It's very, the waters are very, boy, we're way off subject here. I'm sorry. But we're not going to cut it out. We're just
Yeah.
going to let it flow, right? Because that's what we
Exactly.
do here on the Q.
Right.
So just let it be. It's just wonderful. And I'll tell you this, some of the most profound thoughts that I've had have been, somewhere near the ocean or the beach.
Yeah.
It's just a very natural environment. I get that way in the mountains, in the woods too, but
Sure.
it's all good.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you go. The point is go.
It's becoming one with nature.
Yeah, get out and embrace.
Yep. Get away from traffic and horns and fire engines and
Right.
airplanes and all that stuff.
So, I'm just looking at there's so much here. I don't even know where to start. There's so many schools of thought and philosophers. I guess we'll start off with some really notable people, and then we'll just kind of just give you a 10-second dissertation on kind of what their school of thought of the meaning of life.
Sure.
Because again, this subject has been tackled. It's not like no one's tried to answer this. And I would say that in the end, is there a universal answer for everyone? There could be, or there may not be. So that's kind of where we're headed. But
And does there need to be?
well, see, that's just it. We all would
Maybe
like
we,
to
maybe
think
we
that.
assume that there's a meaning.
Well, we would all like to think that our life has some significance, that we're here for a reason.
Okay, I'm
and
with
that
you on
it's
that.
not okay. And when I mean the word significance, I don't mean significant in the traditional way.
Yeah.
I mean it can just be a little significant. It doesn't have to be you're here to save the world. You might just be here. The meaning of life is just to have this experience that maybe you want. So we'll start off with nothing. How does that sound?
Nothing's
Nihilist.
good.
Did I pronounce that right? Nihilist.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
nihilist or something
Nihilist.
like that.
Yeah. See, they even make it hard to pronounce. But
Right. Which is, I
there
guess,
is no point to this existence. Nothing. It's just, there's no ultimate truth.
Mhm.
There's nothing. You're just that blob over there, and have a nice time. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I'm not
Seems
buying it.
Seems pretty empty.
Yeah.
Seems very lonely. Einstein comes along, and he came in with a better slant than there's nothing to this.
Yeah, here's
It's
a guy
still kind
that
of scientific,
was
but
left a box of Newtonian stuff, and now he gets to try to change all that.
he indicated, to create satisfaction for ourselves and for others. That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think that falls short.
Yeah.
It doesn't really, doesn't give me wow.
Yeah, it's kind of a
Yeah.
good guess.
Right. It's a good guess. So you know what we have to do? We have to kind of go way back,
Yeah.
the Wayback Machine. And you've heard a guy named Socrates?
Oh, yeah.
Or as we call him, Socrates. Well, Socrates,
That brilliant Greek man.
yes, a lot of smart Greek people.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah, I mean, amazing. He came about it in a little bit different way, but a way that I think is nice. He says, truth, life, is an innately personal thing, and the experience that you go through, right?
Yeah.
is really kind of like the point. You're kind of going through it, and he equates a lot of this to happiness,
Mhm.
which is obviously, very integral part. But, he wasn't the only one. There was like a whole schooling there.
Yeah.
There's a guy named Aristippus. I love that, just saying that.
Yeah.
Next incarnation, I'm coming back as Aristippus. I'm just telling you, okay? So there was
Aristotle.
and then there was Plato.
Plato, yes,
Right,
of course.
Right. And, they all had
And by the way, real quick, if
Oh, no,
you've
no.
not seen the Allegory of the Cave or
Do
read
tell.
Allegory of the Cave by Plato, it's a must.
Right.
This is a message to all who are listening.
Wow.
Just go Google Plato Allegory of the Cave.
Right.
And it's brilliant. Brilliant piece of work. Go ahead.
By the way, very interesting point. Socrates never wrote anything down. Think
He
about
had,
that.
like secretaries or secretaries.
No, he didn't have Socrates didn't have Socrates or anything. Not many philosophers have never written anything down.
Yeah.
I would love to, because I write everything down, and
Yeah.
I've got journal after journal. Of course, I'm
It's
not.
just passed down
Nobody knows about me.
generation to generation.
Yeah,
By
his,
mouth.
His teachings were orated.
Yeah.
So, and then obviously one of his most famous students, Plato,
Yeah.
did start writing this down. But again, there was the pursuit of happiness and a moral life is preferred to an immoral one,
Mm-hmm.
and this really rings true. His students took on this kind of position of what the meaning of life is, also that to achieve the highest good, and Plato kind of this is Plato's platform, which is desirable for your own spirit. So really pursuing some sort of happiness, and even Aristotle starts off with happiness depends basically on ourselves more than anybody else. It's kind of like comes from within.
Center of the universe thing.
Yeah.
Like center of your own universe.
And the purpose of human life is literally the goal itself of just living and pursuing this. And they all kind of line up under kind of a moral, ethical, which
Yeah.
kind of gets to the 7 laws.
white hat,
which we're gonna
black
cover.
hat thing.
Yeah. There's a few other schools of thought. The
Well, let's
epic-
also interject real quick that
more Greek words
back in
coming.
the day, mystery schools, ancient mystery schools were to be found everywhere.
Sure.
And these were the guys like you and me who would, be told something and they go, well, there must be more to it. So they'd be directed to these mystery schools.
The nice thing also, history gives us different types of perspectives on subjects, whereas today it's packaged.
Yeah.
Everything is the same. The schooling is the same.
Right.
And if you love the schooling and you think they're teaching you that everything is correct,
Yep.
then you're happy.
Yeah.
But a lot of us out there are saying, I think you're missing some really important topics,
Sure, and it's all
life
so
topics.
generic. I mean, you can't send a duck to Eagle School. Yet what we do is we take
It's a good point.
kids that have their own way of learning things, their own way of processing things, and we only present one format. So a kid that might be doing poorly in school, grade-wise, is not a stupid kid.
No.
It's just not the system that works best for him.
For example, if you have dyslexia and it's not identified, the child's going to have difficulty reading and
bad
they'll
math
fall
skills.
behind. But yet the dyslexic child is probably as smart or smarter. And what they do is they learn a different way of learning it and overcome. But it's not an immediate thing. And so our schooling, I mean, I'd say some schools, even public schools, they have some attention to this. They're catering a little bit.
Yeah.
But again, it's more like, here, one size fits all. And it's unfortunate.
It is.
Yeah. So moving on to Epicurus.
Yes.
Or did I pronounce that right?
Epicurus, yeah.
Epicurus.
And there was Epictetus, and there was,
It sounds all prickly to me.
Yeah.
But this school of thought for the meaning of life is pleasure is the main game.
Nice.
You're out there to just kill it, have fun.
Yeah.
The goal of living was to find happiness, again with the happiness, right?
Yeah.
And you can do this through friendship, living humbly, and avoiding pain and anxiety.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah. And these are also, coincidentally, these are also goals of the conscious mind. The goals of the conscious mind is to differentiate between pleasure and pain and spend a heck of a lot more time on the pleasure side of that.
Well, you just connected the biggest dot because that's
I did.
This is everything. This is
I'm
everything
sorry.
and everything.
Did I?
No
mess up your
spoiler
Sunday?
alert.
Okay.
No, we got to tell it like it is,
Okay.
and you nailed it. That's really it. We're here also to gain knowledge in preparation, possibly for our next life. Think about that.
Yeah.
So where you are now is where you'll be. Now, you may not remember that from a baby. So this is where we get into, this is all coded into you. And when you remember, it's because you knew it already.
Right.
You just forgot.
Yeah.
And you forgot, you forgot.
Yeah. So these lessons are to remind us.
Yeah.
Not to give us something new.
No. And a lot of the philosophers all kind of touch on that whole stuff.
Yeah.
So it's interesting stuff, huh?
Yeah.
So we got a few more. Shall I continue?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
So, yeah, we just got a few more. It's interesting to see these different schools of thought. So a lot of them not too different or too dissimilar.
And something
so-
tells me you're going to just,
Well, I'm
to
setting you up.
sew
Exactly.
them together.
Well, yeah, because I love quilts. I
Yes.
can't help it. So the Tibetan type philosophy, this is getting back to the old school,
Right.
Is to understand the world. That's a tough one. How do you understand the world? And how it works, and through understanding and knowledge, you'll gain insight to the meaning of life. So it's kind of that's very philosophical.
Sure,
That's-
and well, even the Tao talks of Lao
the
Tzu
way.
talks of the way, and also
Yeah.
10,000 things. The
Yes.
whole world is the essence of 10,000 things.
Right.
So everything, doesn't matter what it is all part of the 10,000 things.
Yes. Wow. And then there's another one here. Aztecs kind of had a philosophy too. I'm not sure if you even knew they had this, but
The Pontiac ones or oh, those, yeah.
you
go
don't
ahead.
know the Pontiac Aztec. Off subject, but is literally the ugliest looking vehicle
Yes.
ever made.
Agreed.
Stop our show right now and go to Google and look up Aztec, the Pontiac
Yeah,
Aztec.
yeah,
and you'll see what
especially
I'm
in
talking
that
about.
pea green color
It's
that they did.
it only rivals the Griswold station wagon in
The family truckster.
beauty. Yeah, the family. Okay, boy, we're okay. Well, you know what? We're supposed to
But that's
sprinkle,
all part of life.
See, we're giving it to you right now.
Yeah.
It's all now moment stuff.
Exactly.
So enjoy. Okay. So the Aztec made really good blankets too, I think.
They did.
So ultimate meaning of life is to live in balance with nature and allow the continuation of everything to flow and pass this on to others. Pretty cool.
Very nice.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's almost as if the meaning of life is not so much internally, but it's almost in the action of of providing to the next. But then again, we get into this teachers teaching teachers.
Yeah,
What are you teaching?
And the whole. And by the way, sorry for the phone calls. But
Oh no, that was my call.
yeah, it'll go to voicemail. So, looking at this where
Right.
you are right now with the Aztecs, of course, even from a Native American, which really is kind of a weird word because it wasn't America then. So,
Okay, yeah.
a native to this continent. Let's
We'll
put
call
it
them
that
real
way.
Americans.
Yeah, real Americans.
Someone's
Okay.
gonna get it. We're gonna get in trouble
So
with that.
tribal natives,
Yes.
okay,
Mhm.
to this continent, had a very close.
God forbid you call them Redskins.
Right. Got to be in serious trouble. So they had this tie not only to nature,
Right.
okay, but nature being godlike in
Mhm.
in the respect that they had for all things in nature,
Right.
but also that this isn't our planet. We're borrowing it from
Yeah.
the future generations.
Sure. Well, you are renting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all of this that you just talked about with the Aztecs ties into that whole philosophy
Yeah.
of leaving something for future generations.
The land and the human condition was one in one.
Yeah.
And you would treat the land as if you would treat your body. I mean,
Absolutely.
regardless of
Yeah.
the.
Well, because it's
and
Mother Earth.
Yeah, and you pass this on
Yeah.
because you want to leave it in a more beautiful state than when you received it. Question is, are we doing that today? Is that mini mall, the mini mart, the mini, and the mini dollar store adding to our quality of life?
No, and then the oil spills. And,
Oh, so okay, let's not get all
radiation.
No.
Blah, blah,
Shh.
blah. Okay.
Negative.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
be positive.
Sorry.
Okay.
Be gone. Be gone.
Be
all of
gone,
you.
negative thoughts. So one more, maybe a couple more, but okay, we're getting there. But humanist
Yes.
philosophy. This is interesting.
Yeah.
Whereas the nihilists said, there is no point. Well, the humanists say, yes, well, there is specific meaning to life. But everybody has their own meaning or meanings.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of looking to the universe, for meaning, people should look inside themselves to discover what makes them happy and gives their own life meaning.
How interesting.
But interesting, he did mention the universe in it. Yeah, it's interesting. But this is humanist, and we're talking about
Right,
human. I mean,
right,
it's going to be
right.
human-based. It's
Right.
not universal
Right.
philosophy.
No.
It's-
This is
yeah.
ungod.
Right.
Humanist.
Well, yeah. I mean, they don't mention much, but because we're different, why shouldn't we all have different meanings of life? Meaning, your meaning and existence is going to be different than mine, even though we're doing the exact same thing right now.
Right.
Doesn't matter.
Right.
But our purpose cannot be measured by just one.
Right, but see,
thing.
you say something very key there, purpose. And see, I personally, I believe that we need to have some form of separation between life and purpose.
Okay.
Because
Am I conflating this too much?
no. I'm
Okay.
just me interjecting my thoughts to
Okay.
your brilliant.
You're wrong. No,
yeah,
that's okay.
that basically each one of us might have our own purpose. Okay, but I
Right.
see life as an animating source of all things.
Life is the common denominator with everybody. The purpose
Right.
is different, and you're exactly right.
See, it's not
these
my
are
life and your life. It's just life.
This
and
is-
I always capitalize it, by the way, when I'm writing the word life.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Okay.
I put a capital L.
well, I usually put a big L, a little L, and then an ontague, and then a space,
Nice.
and then
And
just
what
a
about like
real-
that sideways
Yes.
number 8 thing? The universal, the universe.
only
symbol.
on special letters. But the real point here is that life may have a universal meaning, but then our purpose here, whether serving or whatever we believe, can be more on a personal journey.
Yeah,
Right.
individual.
And it's not going to be the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And we don't even need to give you an example. I mean, it's pretty clear. So we've got we're down to the last one that I have on a list of many different types of philosophies that kind of and I'm sure there's more out there. We're just
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
no
I
doubt.
mean, we're just covering we hit Socrates and a couple of other big guys.
Yeah.
This is Moism, which is China, emanated from China. It's a philosophy that there's basically like 10 doctrines.
Yeah.
That the meaning of life can only be achieved when every individual person shows the amount of care and attention to everyone else. which is kind of like this awakening thing. It's a very ancient kind of philosophy about
or do
the
unto
awakening
others
process.
as you would have them do unto
Very,
you. Same
yeah,
thing,
very,
golden
yeah,
rule
and
based.
placing no one's needs above anyone else. So a certain equality, but this is also it's a very non-materialistic approach in that there's no need for stuff.
Yeah.
It's the doctrines are all us. It's within us and how our relationships with other people and everything else. So, but do you see? There's a common theme here.
Yeah.
We'll summarize in a little bit, but you know where we're going with this.
Yeah.
Because maybe the meaning of life could be quite simple. We'd like it to think that it is as complex as we are, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, but here's the problem. The problem is that sometimes simple is difficult and perplexed or complex.
oh, okay, you're over philosophizing, but you're right.
Just like changing, for example, something in life that you don't like, that's part of your experience.
Right.
It could be a very simple fix. We use the word simple again, a little simple fix. If you just stop doing that.
Yeah.
Not so easy, though.
No, not so
simple
easy.
and easier, kind
Right.
of not really related when it comes to that. But one go ahead with your thing, because there's one more guy and then we're going to go into grander detail.
You mean there's another guy?
Yeah.
Well, why isn't there any women on this list?
I don't know, because there
We
were
need to change that.
many. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Manny or womany.
Yeah.
There were many womany.
I think a woman probably would have a better perspective on the meaning of life because they're
Absolutely.
the ones that actually give
Bring it into
Yes.
existence.
What do we do?
Yeah.
Nothing. Well, a little bit.
Well, we
Those 10 seconds.
we deposit our entries.
Yes, exactly.
Yep. And
Women do other
so
work.
with all of that is always we turn back to Hermes and Hermetic principles.
Right. So why don't you finish up with that?
And Hermetism, okay, or Hermetic law. It's really fascinating because Hermes helped establish a very long time ago 7 universal laws. Some immutable, some are mutable and changeable. Okay, first law, and I'm just going to kind of run down the list in a brief explanation.
You know what? Why don't you just read them all out, and then I'll just comment as we go down.
Okay,
if I have any
perfect. First
comment.
law is the law of mentalism, which is immutable, meaning the all is mind. The universe is mental. Okay, everything we see and experience in our physical world has its origins in the invisible mental realm. Okay, so this is the first law. There is a single universal consciousness. We've talked about this many times. The universal mind from which all things manifest, all energy, matter, all levels, everything is created and subordinate to the omnipresent universal mind. Okay, our mind is part of that mind. Our reality is a manifestation of our mind. See? So now moving on to number 2, the law of correspondence, which again is immutable. As above, so below. As below, so above. This means that there's harmony, agreement, correspondence between physical, mental, and spiritual realms. And this is truth. There's no separation since everything in the universe originates or emanates from one source. The smallest electron, the largest star, all one.
Wow. Yeah. And to add to that, the as above, so below. This is a thought where heaven is right here, right now. And there's nothing out there. It's all just right here.
Right.
And right here within you.
Yes.
And, it's funny because everyone says, well, where's heaven? And, you see kids and people, they point up in the sky. Well, what about the people on the flip side of the earth?
Sure.
It's just up there is so relative.
They're so in trouble.
Yeah, they're in trouble. They're pointing down. So, yeah. So the point is that where is it?
Yeah.
It might be everywhere and nowhere. It's just right
and
here.
I think that the point up in many ways
Oh, that's
on an
just-
esoteric level could also just clearly define a higher consciousness.
Sure, and they write about the Anunnaki, and there's a lot of, biblical prophecies. Just everything is to the heavens,
well,
and
some
it's all up because
some people
up is
call them-
optimistic and down is not. So I mean, it's just one of these things. But we see how it's just kind of coming to, normal social,
Yeah.
how we talk about things like that.
And where they came from.
Yeah, where they came from.
Some
Yeah,
people call
origins
them
and
the
stuff.
space cowboy, and others call them
Some
the gangster of
people call
love.
me the space cowboy.
Okay, moving on.
Call me the gangster
Number
of
3.
love.
Thank you, Steve. The law of vibration.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, also immutable.
Mm.
Nothing rests. Everything moves. Everything vibrates. The whole universe is but a vibration. Science has confirmed everything in the universe, including you and I, are pure energy vibrating at different frequencies.
Wow.
Also, remember, like energy attracts like energy. This is the law upon which the law of attraction is based.
Sure.
So the same applies to the mental realm. Our thoughts are vibrations. Our emotions are vibrations. The highest level of vibrating emotion for us is love.
Sure.
And these are all vibrational laws. They're part of the third law, universal law. And number 4, unless you have something to add.
Well, I'm just
please.
About love. I truly believe that.
Yeah.
There's nothing else like that.
No, it's the default,
Right.
and
That's
you
it.
know,
Nothing else.
That's
said.
what makes it truth.
Yes.
You know?
Because truth, when it hits you, and when I mean hits you, when
Yeah.
you hear it and it hits you,
Yeah.
and you know what I'm talking about when you've really heard truth, and
Oh,
you
yeah.
know it's the truth, it cuts into you. It's different than just hearing things.
Sure.
It's the same way when you really experience love. There's nothing. There's no other feeling like it.
Yeah.
This is why we're here.
Yeah.
I
And that's
Because you-
abuse is the absence of love. See?
Yeah.
So it's unfinished business. You know what I mean? Like bad is unfinished good.
Mm-hmm. But see, love is way up here.
Yeah.
And even everything else, good, okay, satisfaction, it's miles away
Yeah.
from that goodness, the
Yeah.
love, the truth.
And you and I know
Yeah.
that there are only 2 basic emotions. Everything falls
yeah.
under that, love or fear.
Right.
And so, one positive, one negative. And that's where everything's clumped into. And the Greeks had 5 words for love. One wasn't good enough. There was 5.
Well, there's different types of love.
Right. And
Yeah.
so we see the one word and we clump it all together, and that makes it just this huge, vast element
Yeah.
of natural, recurring,
Well, there's a
unlimited, unbounded love.
there's a difference between the love you give your grandma and love making.
Sure.
But love is still the,
It's
it's
the
still
glue.
Yeah, it's the glue.
It's the glue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, number 4, the law of polarity. Okay.
Okay.
Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. Opposites are identical in nature, but they are different in degree. It means that there are 2 sides to everything in order to experience and to choose truth. Things that appear as opposites are, in fact, only 2 extremes of the same thing. For example, heat and cold appear to be opposites.
Heat
but in
and
truth,
cold or hot and cold?
hot and cold.
Okay.
Sure, let's do hot and cold. Or heat and cool.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So,
You're right.
in truth, they
I
are
shouldn't have
simply,
interrupted.
no, that's fine. I love it when you do. They're varying degrees of the same thing. You see, the same applies to love and hate. We were just talking about that. Peace
the
and
magnet.
war. Yeah, positive and negative. Your magnet thing.
Yeah, the magnet. It's one magnet, but it has its 2 ends. But
Exactly.
it's still
Good
all
and
part of
evil.
one
Yes
magnet.
and no. Light and dark. Energy and matter. It just goes on and on and on and on. So that is that law of polarity. Okay.
Right.
The Hermetic law of rhythm, which is
Don't
number
rush.
5.
I'm listening.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. All right. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. So number 5, the law of rhythm. Okay.
Okay.
Everything flows, including quantum flow radio,
Yes.
out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. So you can't go any higher this side than you do on that side. You see, that's where the balance is maintained.
Everything is in a state of motion. Everything.
Right.
Everything is in a state of either growth or decay.
Yeah.
Nothing ever stays the same.
No.
And that's the beauty of this. So if you're stubborn and you don't want to grow up, you're stuck in that childhood.
Yep.
You're static. You're not growing, and you will be eliminated, some form or another.
Exactly.
But we need to grow.
We all
Everything's in a
need
state
to
of
grow.
motion. Yeah.
See,
And again, that gets back to life. Life is literally a journey and not so much a destination.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
the dash between the two
Yeah.
dates.
And that's it, my friend.
You mentioned you hit upon the everything being in motion and in
Yeah.
movement, and that's forward
Well,
motion.
yeah,
know?
any motion, but yeah, we'd like it to be forward.
Right. So occasionally,
At a car that didn't go in reverse.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of hard to ride my bicycle in
Right.
reverse too.
harder if you have a car that doesn't go in forward.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. Do motorcycles have a reverse?
No,
It's
so
a
you
foot,
just walk
right?
them
You
back.
just
yeah,
roll
you,
it.
you roll
Yeah.
it back. You kind of do the butt swag. You know,
Gotcha. So this pendulum swing in both directions. Okay.
Right.
In order for us to transcend that swing, we need to be aware of that subtle start of the backward movement. So we need to see, where we're backsliding or where
Right.
that swing's coming back again,
It's like a golf swing. It's like in order for you to go forward,
Yep,
you have to go back.
exactly.
So it's like you're kind of winding up.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Wow.
So number 6, the law of cause and effect, perhaps the most important of these laws, because every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. With this law, every effect that you see in your outside or physical world, we know has a very specific cause which originated in your inner world or in your mental world. This is the power of thought. Thoughts are energy. Thoughts are things. So every one of our thoughts, words, or actions sets a specific effect in motion, which will come to materialize over time in form. Know that chance or luck don't exist.
And note, there's the motion again.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly what you brought
Cause
up
and
moments
effect.
ago. Exactly. Cause
Right.
and effect. And number 7, the law of gender. We hit
Really?
on this in a previous show.
Okay.
Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. This universal law, number 7, is evident through creation in the so-called opposite sexes, found not only in people, human beings, but also plants, minerals, even electrons and magnetic poles, to name a few. You mentioned the magnet a few moments ago.
Right.
Everything and everyone contains both masculine and feminine elements. Within every woman is all the latent qualities of a man, and within every man are all those of a woman.
Right.
When you know this, you will know what it means to be complete.
Yeah.
Now, this goes also back to, biblical scripture with, Adam and Eve, and then the great wedding of Revelation. I mean, this is all related to the law of gender. Okay, the law of attraction is the basic law of the universe that
Is
runs
this still
through-
under the same gender? This is 0.7? This is
yeah.
not another new one. It was only 7 points. Right?
Yeah, no,
So-
it's 7 points.
Okay, so the
right?
law of attraction falls under the.
Well, the law of attraction is what I was just gonna drop in here just to remind everybody. The
Oh,
law of
okay.
attraction is the
Yeah.
basic law of the universe. It runs through all 7 laws
Ah,
and seems to
There we
hold
go.
everything. Well, it doesn't seem to hold. It holds everything
does hold.
together. Okay,
Yeah.
like begets like. If you're a tiger and you procreate, you're going to bring forth tigers. Okay,
right.
and so tigers are also drawn to each other or attracted to each other. So that which we think, the way that we perform, what we act upon, all those things seems to draw that energy towards us.
Right.
Okay. We can't have negative thoughts and receive positive form. So once we understand that, okay, it's really important. And just to put this out there, if anybody would like to learn more about this, there are 2 great sources out there. Baron Ferson's 1923 masterpiece called The Science of Being.
Notice
which-
you have to go back 100 years.
Exactly. It explains the power of humanity, metaphysics, self-mastery. It's all in there. And also the 1908 masterpiece, The
Even
Kabbalion.
more than 100 years.
Right. The Kabbalion, which is a study of the Hermetic philosophies of ancient Egypt and Greece,
Wow.
all based on the mystical teachings of Hermes and written by the so-called 3 initiates. That's the only credit given there.
Not enough time in the day. I'm just going to have to make more time.
Exactly.
I am literally trying to work on slowing time down where I need it to slow down,
Yeah.
so I can get everything done.
And the only way to do that is to reach the speed of light, in which time
Well,
ceases to exist.
I believe it's potentially doable.
Yeah, I agree with
Yeah,
you.
why not?
And the higher that you can elevate your vibrations,
The higher you can elevate your consciousness,
exactly.
bam,
Yep,
you're there.
you can do that.
Yeah.
Quick little quote from
Sure.
the Kabbalion, which I like. It is as follows: The principles of the truth are seven. He who knows these understandingly possesses the magic key before whose touch all the doors of the temple will fly open.
Mm.
So, going through time back among all of these philosophers that you so eloquently spoke of earlier,
Thank you.
everyone speaks of keys. Either it's keys to the Peter had the keys to the
Yeah,
kingdom.
keys. Yeah.
The keys.
Yeah.
And these keys,
Javis.
yes, keys do what? They unlock things.
Sure. They're
And they
doors of
also
opportunity.
lock things.
Doors of mind.
Exactly.
Doors
So
of
so once
perception.
you have the key to any of these things, they just open wide up.
Yeah. Yeah. The key is the key.
Right.
And you realize how important keys are in everything you do.
Yes.
They unlock things and they lock things.
Keep things secure
Yeah.
and insecure.
Right.
And-
But also, this pertains to thoughts and thinking.
Yes.
So another underlining thing as that goes with happiness would be the keys to happiness. Kind of like melding those two things
Yeah,
together.
exactly.
Yeah. Did you have another list of...
I do have another list.
Do you wanna-
I'm just going to run down these real quick. These are the 12 spiritual laws
Right. Ooh, okay. So
of the universe.
let's hear those.
Okay, so we'll spend a little bit less time on this because it's just kind of more,
Yeah, well, it's
more of a
just-
quick run.
Yeah.
It's the law of divine oneness is number one. And that essentially is the basic foundational law to which absolutely everything in the universe is interconnected. We are all one, and awareness of this makes us more powerful as well as more empathetic towards other things and other people.
Right.
Okay. Number two is the law of vibration, which shares with the Hermetic principles that we went over. Law of correspondence, number three, also on our previous list. The law of correspondence is related to divine oneness being the key idea is that patterns repeat throughout the universe and that prominent patterns can also be found repeating on a very small scale from planets to microbes. Okay. It's this repeating correspondence that they have with each other. There is the law of attraction that works also on a spiritual level, like attracts like. If you, in order to have the things that you desire in this life, you have to work out how to vibrate on the same frequency as these things. Okay. Number five, the law of inspired action tells us that we must actively pursue our goals. This includes visualizing a goal with a positive attitude towards it and being proactive in the process of the manifestation of this thing.
Right. And again, we talked about how you can program your subconscious to tackle these issues.
Exactly. But you can't just sit around on a warm fuzzy sofa and expect it to come to your front door.
It could, but more than likely you could have to actively activate it.
Much better to be proactive in
Yes.
these things.
Yeah.
So there is the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. Love that word. Yeah. The law of perpetual transmutation of energy states that everything around us, like you said before, is in constant flux. You can't
Motion
see the
flux.
changes, yes, because many of them exist at a cellular or even an atomic level, but they carry on regardless, okay? The law of cause and effect, same thing we discussed in the other principles. The law of compensation is interesting. You'll receive what you put out. This is similar to the law of attraction, but this, my friend, focuses on the idea that compensation can come in many forms. You will reap what you sow. This law reminds you to be careful about how you treat others.
I've noticed there's a lot of overlapping of the 7 laws of nature and
There
these
is.
12 laws.
Yep. And
Yeah.
now the law of relativity,
What number are we on?
this is number 9.
Okay, 9.
The neutrality of things when seen in isolation. So no particular person, experience, emotion, or action is evaluated as good or bad until you look at it in comparison with something else. So again, we have another key. This time the key is perception. Okay?
Right.
Law of polarity. We discussed that earlier. But remember this, when you go through something difficult, it will be this thing that helps you truly appreciate the good developments that are to come. See, so when we have experiences that perhaps we might call dark or negative or bad experiences, what's on the other side of that is not only remembering and a lesson to be learned, but good stuff coming. The other end of that pendulum swing. Okay, law of rhythm is number 11. It is
I like
also
this
called the law of perpetual motion, which
Right.
again you discussed a few moments ago. The law of rhythm is focused on movement, in particular, to the fact that all things come in cycles. You hit on this earlier too with
Yeah.
the life and death and on and off and all that. You can see this throughout nature. It's the seasons, the body's aging process, life stages, which help us to gain perspective. Today's season may be good, but nothing is permanent. So enjoy what you have.
Well,
while you have it.
the rhythm is very important. Let's put it in perspective.
Yes, sir.
What does your heart do?
Rhythm.
Yeah.
Beats.
It beats from your first moment you're here to your last dying breath,
Mm-hmm.
and it never stops.
No,
Think about that.
it's phenomenal.
It is. That's the rhythm of life right there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And
Go on.
And also, while you're on that subject,
Sure.
think about this. All of the animal life that's out there, all of us, we all have this heartbeat.
Sure. Yeah.
And when that heartbeat is in unison,
Ah,
wow, it's orchestral.
it is.
You know, it really is.
That's a
and,
good
and
word for
some
it.
animals might have, like a smaller animal, might have a much faster heartbeat. So
Right.
it might be 120 beats per minute on average.
Well, sure. Yeah. Hummingbird. Think it bats its. Is bat the right word, or it
Flutters,
flops its
spats,
wings
flops.
200 times. Is it like a second or something?
Yeah,
It's
try
just-
watching it.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
forget
just a
about
blur.
it. Well, it just shows you,
Yeah.
know, just the beauty and the amazement
Yeah.
in
But
nature.
But it's also
I can't do anything even 200 times in even a day. I mean, it's
exactly.
like sit up or something like that.
exactly. But you
Yeah.
watch the hummingbird, and it's almost like the wings become. They slowly begin to become invisible.
Oh yeah. Well, no,
They
you
go
can't.
away.
No, you
It's
don't.
like a ceiling fan.
Yeah.
The faster it turns,
Yeah.
the less likely you are to see the blades, which is
and
where
that-
we are on a level of consciousness.
Exactly, and that just shows you we are really only on one dial.
Mm-hmm.
You're not seeing everything. You're not seeing. You're not hearing. You're
Right.
not experiencing.
Exactly.
There's so much more going on around us, and somehow maybe the point of life is to fully embrace this one channel
Yeah.
as best we can, and maybe, hey, in our lifetime, figure out there are other channels, and maybe there's ways we can tap into those other channels
Mm-hmm.
and have even a greater experience.
Yeah, because our experience here is based upon
Yeah,
our tools,
sure.
what we have, and our senses, right? And the density that we are at. For example, if there was
Thick.
if there was another, let's say another creature from another dimension or another planet or whatever that came down here, it could literally just walk through this chair, walk through you and I, and not even know that we were here. But
Sure,
we are.
that could be happening.
yeah. But we are.
When you said a creature, I was thinking of I like the creature from the Black Lagoon because
Oh man, now
that
we're
scared
talking.
the crap out of me
Oh,
when I
me
was a
too.
kid. I remember it would come on the TV,
Yeah.
and I'd look at, and I had to change the channel. I mean, it was almost like it was kind of like, like you want to watch, but you know you don't want to watch.
Yeah.
But you
And-
can't take it's like the accident on the side of the road.
And the
Ugh.
costume for its time.
Oh yeah, it was amazing.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal.
Ugh,
it was just like I was
scary.
drawn into it every time. It would
Yeah.
come on frequently when I was younger.
Sure.
you know.
And I knew Ultraman was going to come and fight him at some point, but I'm still waiting for the sequel. Okay,
Oh
well,
my
back to
God.
the point of life because
Yes. So I just want to say one more thing here before
no,
we-
you
before
got-
I turn it back over
right.
to you, just real quick. Okay, it's number 12, the law
yeah,
of
number
gender.
12.
Okay,
This is what we're waiting for.
Right. So this is where we talked earlier about the law of gender. But remember, this has very little to do with biological sex. Okay.
Right.
This is referring to the fact that there are two major types of energy. See them as masculine and feminine, or yin and yang, right?
Yeah.
We have to find a way to achieve a balance between both types if we are going to live authentically and happily. So think about the role of each type of energy and how it appears to play in your life, and whether there is some excess or deficit of either or.
Yeah, and all this finger pointing about gender and gender equality.
Yeah.
If people could just say, hey, there's no difference.
Right.
Man, woman,
Yep.
pay him the same, treat him the same. Hello.
Yeah.
It's just,
It's pretty simple.
It's pretty simple. Somehow people just want to make an issue of it.
Yep. They do.
Let's
And
move
unfortunately,
on.
there are many patristic leaders and organizations on the planet that believe that
Well, they want
the man should be in charge because the man is superior.
Well, this go around in our societal creation is man based.
Yeah.
But we know that all of creation really emanated from the feminine.
Sure.
But that just shows you it. I mean, let's not. We don't have to give credit anywhere.
Yeah.
It's just all one process.
Yep. And looking
Move
where
on.
we are now, even from a religious viewpoint, everything's God based,
Right.
manly. But in the early days, it was the goddess.
Yeah.
Everything was about the divine feminine.
And you actually bring up a really good point because we mentioned it before. We have to entertain this thought. Is God's purpose our purpose or your purpose?
Mm-hmm.
Or is that the meaning of life? I mean, there's a meaning of life, and it's like an earthly meaning.
Mm-hmm.
We're down here, you try to find out who you are, but you're here for the experience, everything else what we talked about. But is there a connection to like the highest high of energy?
Yeah.
And quite possibly, are we here to serve? Or are we here to experience? Or is it kind of like maybe, a little more free flowing? It's a collection of everything. Maybe the experience is to have it all.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I do agree with you
I'm
on that.
asking these questions because I want you to think about it. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, I do agree with you on all those points.
And we so often don't follow our desires
Mm-hmm.
through. Our life is spent with compromising.
Yeah.
Maybe settling for less. I should have done that.
Yeah.
No, the meaning to life is do it now.
Yes.
You may not have another chance. And unless you try, you don't know. So live life to the fullest and experience it. That doesn't mean jump off a cliff, and say, "Hey, I wanted to figure out, no. Use your common sense, people. We're just talking in philosophical, basic, common sense discussion.
Yeah.
And be safe in what you do.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Kids, don't try this at home.
Yeah, you don't want to experience, doing something crazy.
Yeah.
But we also find a lot of meaning to life in our fellowship of who we befriend.
Absolutely.
And a lot of this, we extend this even further to people joining clubs or organizations because we feel that these clubs, organizations, or these entities in itself has meaning. And by joining it, we feel like we're a part of that. Mm-hmm. And there's something humanity, we all desire to be around others. Yeah. The experience of doing something is always greater if you're with somebody you want to be with, because then you can share it.
Sure.
Absolutely. You
Absolutely.
should have been there, man, but you weren't.
It's like when you go on vacation and you come
know you
back,
miss
people say, well, where did you go? What did you do?
Right.
All that stuff. So,
well, yeah, if you had gone with me, I wouldn't have to explain it all to you.
Exactly. So looking at, and I'm just going to interject this real quick, and I know you have another thing to go through there, but you bring up the experience of all this, right?
Yeah.
So source energy, God, whatever you want to call the point of origin and the power behind life, our subject of life, the animating factor, okay,
right,
is experiencing everything through us, because spirit or unseen cannot experience this realm,
right,
unless it is in physical form or matter. So everything that we're going through, every experience that we have, just builds this database.
right,
And puts it right back into that matrix of consciousness. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So no, I was just going to finish up that last point. So, is the meaning of life God Himself and the relationship between God and man? Could be. I feel that. I feel that's a part of it. I can't say it's maybe everything. Who knows? Many have also been convinced that the meaning of life is kind of a superficial feel, completely void of any spiritualness. Mm-hmm. And maybe the point of life is to gather as many goodies, right?
Yeah.
And see how much you can accumulate. This gets
he who dies with the most toys wins. That kind of deal, right?
And again, not subscribing to that, but as we always do, we're open-minded and we like to throw out all the options and all the variables. Okay.
Yep.
But again, when we quiet ourselves, we'll be able to come and figure that out. I think when you get older, you realize that all the stuff you have you don't need anymore.
Yeah.
So you spent your whole life accumulating all this stuff. You look around and go, you know what? The things I really need in life are a hell of a lot more simple than that.
Sure.
And I worked my ass off, and I was an absentee person because of it, all thinking that this is going to make me better and that this is going to give me a greater connection maybe to something. All philosophy encourage you to believe, and all religion encourages you to join.
Yeah.
So where are you in this process? Are you following a path of enlightenment and trying to find the meaning of life, or are you following the pathway of another car or whatever it would be?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or both.
It can be, yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to deprive you of materialistic
Sure.
items.
No,
In fact,
not at
one
all.
of the greatest things of coming here is
Stuff.
stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly, in general.
But
here,
take
this brings
time
up
to enjoy the stuff, though.
okay. But see, this brings up the question: does one live to eat, or eat to live? See?
Yeah, I'm not
So-
touching that.
Okay. Well, okay. So the meaning may be in the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, and bear with me. I'm going somewhere with this.
As long as you don't chicken and egg me here.
No, I'm
Okay.
not. Oh, well, you know what? That's
exactly what you're going
no,
to do.
no, no.
right?
I wasn't. But I was thinking about that the other day and saying that's a really horrible example. I'm not going to bring that up.
Yeah, okay. Good.
Because you know what? just to tell you my thought on that.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You can believe what you believe, and I believe what I believe. Does it make any difference?
No, because there's still chickens.
Right. There's still chickens. There's still
Right.
eggs. I could
Yeah.
care less which one came first. Okay. So, and think about that. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Does it matter?
No.
No. I think God did that on purpose.
Yeah.
That's the running joke.
Yeah. And when
it
we
will
look
continue
at
to
it,
be.
there's so many things for us that you have to kind of say, does it matter?
No.
No.
No. No. And we're not copying out here.
No.
We're being honest
Right.
about the meaning of life here.
Sure.
It may not matter. Put it this way, getting back to the eating.
Yep.
Okay. Most people, you have your favorite meal.
Yeah.
Everybody has your favorite meal, even if you do not like food.
There's always something that
There's
it's,
something,
your
that
favorite.
ice cream
Mhm.
or whatever. So when you eat that, it gives you a feeling of satisfaction when you're eating your favorite food.
Okay.
You're not just eating it because you're hungry.
Yeah.
You're eating it because it's on a different level of experience.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with hunger.
No, it's almost
just-
as if you could eat an ice cream and experience an orgasm. I'm sorry, but
right.
but and
Sure.
and then again, sex.
Yeah, it's like the Big O, only this time it's Oreo.
Exactly. So, maybe you might want to experience the Big O with the Big O. So you're eating the Oreo ice cream while you're doing that.
Right.
And maybe that's it.
Right.
Maybe that's what really drives you.
Yeah.
Is there anything wrong with that?
No.
Nothing.
No.
I mean, that's what you're here for. You're here to put yourself in the now moment and experience the greatest joy and pleasure you can each moment of each day. Now, that does not mean
At the
oh,
risk.
yeah, okay,
right,
yeah. Let's be again. It gets back to why we're talking common sense. Why?
Right.
So if you keep taking your mind out to the furthest extension of all this, you're not thinking, in a realistic philosophical way
Agreed.
of evaluating your life. Okay. Another thing is like music.
Yes.
Music. What's the point of music? Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's for enjoyment. The same thing with sex and eating and everything else. Well, eating, there is a purpose, but eating your favorite food, not necessarily.
Yeah, and so many of these things, even the food and the music and all of that, have the ability to just change your mental attitude immediately.
Right. It's truly puts you in the highest vibration, pure joy, and experiencing things that gives you happiness. So guess what? When we looked at all those philosophers, like them or not, believe them or not, look, if you're listening to this, you know what makes you happy. And if you can't understand that happiness and the meaning of life are so close, joined at the hip,
It's anonymous.
it's such a simple little thing as being happy. And we all think we have to go from, here's Jimmy,
Mm-hmm.
and happiness is over here, and we all think Jimmy has to do this, and this, and that, and this and that.
Yeah.
To get to the point of happiness. And that could be like, I have to go to work, I have to do this, I have to do that, this, and this in order for me to be at a point where I'm happy in the future.
Right.
Wrong. It's difficult to realize, but if you look at this, achieve happiness right now. So you don't want to have to go through all those steps. So how do you do that? That's for you to figure out.
Yeah.
I can't sit here and say, this is the secret for you.
Yeah.
But that's it. Figure it out.
Yeah.
The point of life is a personal level, but on a greater scale, we all universally want to have a feeling of love and happiness, because everything that you do on a personal level
Yes.
to give yourself life's meaning transcends to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
All collectively, all source energy, all beautiful, and all one. So, hey, what's the point of life for you? Did we cover it?
I think we've pretty much thrown a lot of stuff out there, and for anyone that's listening, hopefully it has helped them with their perception or perspective of all of this, because what you just said is so critical and so key. If you know, for example, if you know what's going to make you happy, if you're waiting to achieve that goal that's out there somewhere,
right.
Well, use your senses, use the gifts of within to experience and have that feeling right now at this moment. Why wait?
So that means put yourself in that moment. If you don't like what you're doing, remove yourself from that. If you're not around people that love you, appreciate you, that you don't want to share time with, and notice I call it sharing time and not spending time.
Exactly.
Big difference. You don't spend time with people, you share time with them. Respect them as they would respect you. So we want to be around people that are not toxic. You move yourself, deviate, pivot away from these situations and put yourself in a position where you can experience possibly a better life, and therefore thus the meaning
Of
life. So I thought that
you have a quote from one of my favorite books there. Let's just roll out with that quote.
Well,
I think
there's
that's a
so
perfect
much.
way to tie
I mean,
it up.
the last summary chapter, I could read the whole damn thing because it's just so whatever.
Right.
But I'm not even going to take a quote from. I'm not going to take a quote that the person put in the book.
Okay.
And it's from the Dalai Lama. And
Okay.
I'll just kind of finish up with this. And we'll read these other parts here too. But they actually could be applicable in many different environments.
Cool. Well, we'll wrap it up
But
with that. and I'm just
so
gonna
the
sit here in
Dalai Lama,
silence.
when asked what surprised him most about humanity and life, he answers, "Man, because he sacrifices his health in order to make money. Then he sacrifices money to recuperate his health, and then he is so anxious about the future that he does not enjoy the present. The result is being that he does not live in the present or in the future. He lives as if he had never going to die, and then he dies having never really lived." So does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the Dalai Lama.
Wow.
So, we're here. Live. Be free. Express yourself. Enjoy. And you know what? Life's meaning is that personal journey.
Yes. And don't hurt anyone or anything along the way.
As best you can.
Yeah.
That's one of the...
Just know that everything is interconnected. We talked about the divineness of one.
Right.
And I know that you and I are in total agreement that each thing that we experience in this thing called life is personally perceived and connected to a personal truth.
Right.
I mean, there are people who will say, "I love my life. I have a great life." And then there's people who say, "I hate my life. It's just absolute misery."
Right.
But there are choices being made there. And I think that you and I both
It's all
know,
perception.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change.
You create your reality, and if you believe that your reality and your life is has no meaning or is worthless, it's baseless, this is what you'll create. If you truly believe that you're here and there's a purpose, a point to all of this, and we don't mean to, again, purpose a little bit different than the experience, but it does not as we said, need to be complicated.
Thank you for bringing all of your knowledge to the show today.
Well, thank you.
And such a difficult topic.
Yeah. Well, we joked, we laughed, we cut up maybe a little bit more than normal, but we wanted to be a little bit lighthearted on the subject because there's a lot of crap going on in the world right now.
Oh, yeah.
And to navigate and figure out what your true meaning and calling is, you're needed right now, and you're here for a reason right now. Think about that.
Yes. And what a great time
The
to
best
be
time
experiencing life.
The best time. I mean, you have everything.
Yeah.
You have the spiritual world coming and colliding with the technology world, and it's unraveling right in front of you. You have a front row seat to everything, political, newsworthy, just everything. It's just unbelievable. And guess what? There you are, front row seat, just watching it all. And if you want to own any of it, you may go down with it.
Yep.
So you need to know who you are, why you're here, and rise above, because you are that great and beautiful. So know it and own it. But hey, there's the meaning of life.
Thank you for bringing all of that with you.
And thank
today.
you for bringing all of that.
And have a spectacular evening, my friend.
Okay, and this time we really are signing off. Okay, have a good one. Enjoy.
You too. Bye.
Okay, bye.
You've been listening to Quantum Flow Radio. Email us online at quantumflowradio@gmail.com.